Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this pale blue dot that we all live on, or even maybe if you're on the ISS. Hello. That's one demographic that I never really took into consideration. Maybe there's an astronaut listening to me right now. Anyway, but yeah, my name is Adamantium. I'm the host here of AAU TZM podcast, so welcome one and all. Just the usual announcement for those of you listening to this on YouTube right now. My podcast also exists on talkshoe.com. Down there in the video description you'll see the link to the TalkShoe page where you can listen to and download the full 60-minute podcast for free in MP3 format, so you can do that there if you please. Other announcements, well, I'll get to the whole sponsor situation in a moment, but yeah, just like to thank you all for listening, because I've been doing this for nearly 3 years now, and is it nearly 3 years? I started in January 2010, so yeah, it'll be 3 years doing this. So interesting. But yeah, there's a couple of sneaky changes that I'm going to be implementing from next year on, so keep an eye out for those. But that's that. The sponsorship situation, well, let's just say it's, however, my unfortunate task to inform you that, as per usual, we cannot hold on to a sponsor for more than 1 month. Yep, that's right. Elrad Barney is no longer our sponsor because some TZM activists were the company's very first customers after hearing my last podcast, and they acquired the device. They then started pacifying the police at the Million Mask March last month, and resulting in their arrest. The device was confiscated, and the company that produces them was forced to shut down all operations, then liquefied, and all finances reassimilated into the Royal Bank of England. So that's a bit of a bummer. This, however, wasn't effective in securing the tracing of the other 236 devices that were sold online through some kind of proxy server. So just to let you know, guys, there are 236 of these devices somewhere out there, and virtually no one knows who has them. So watch out. All right? If you hear Barney the Dinosaur at a protest, you know that it's being used somewhere. But anyway, that's that. But so this podcast is brought to you by another new corporation operating clandestinely somewhere on the Isle of Man. A corporation that breeds, houses, farms and distributes cattle for the purposes of holy sacrifice. This corporation goes by the name of Holy Cow. Surprisingly, Holy Cow has actually sidestepped a lot of ethical concerns by only producing genetically modified cattle to want to be sacrificed to a supernatural force. And as part of its latest public relations campaign, Holy Cow have sent out a request to include the following statement in any and all advertisements that I give. This statement was given by one of their own goats, waiting to be sent off for the purposes of having its entrails, I think, torn out and eaten by the Basingstoke Zeitgeist Movement chapter. Okay, so here's the quote. Quote, "I am honoured to be a product of Holy Cow and recognise my purpose to die for the evil causes humanity supports. So my name's Billy, and you're listening to AAU TZM Podcasts." End quote. So there you have it, ladies and gents. For all your sacrificial needs, please visit www.holycow4u, and 4u is the number 4 and the letter u.com, and enter the code name Adam to get 25% off your first sow. So, with all of that out the way, just one more announcement. In a few days, I'm going to be releasing my first film called Life on the Soapbox. The film itself isn't completely finished yet, but it's a huge rush to finish it because I've been procrastinating too much over. I could have had this done 6 months ago, but as per usual, I leave everything to the last minute. But it will be finished for Saturday the 14th of December. Not this Saturday, but the Saturday after. The premiere screening is going to be at the Old House at Home pub in Maidstone on in the first floor function room between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. I think I might be starting at 8:30. I don't know whether I should start at 8 because sometimes you need to give people a chance to get there. But yeah, probably starting at between 8 and 8:30, and if need be, there's going to be a short Q&A afterwards, but not too long since I will need to get the last bus home. But that's that, and basically as soon as I get home from the screening, I will start uploading the documentary onto YouTube. So those of you who missed the premiere screening, you can watch that online. Hopefully the next day, because it's going to be a long film, and my internet connection does take a long time to upload YouTube videos. It might take a full 24 hours. I don't know yet. But either way, there's that. So. But yeah, there's a Facebook page for it. If you go to facebook.com/Life on the Soapbox a documentary, I think it is. But yeah, just type in Life on the Soapbox into Facebook, and there's a trailer for it as well. You can go onto YouTube and find the trailer there. But that's that. I don't want to spend too much plugging that, because we're already quite a way into the podcast, and I haven't even started on what we're actually going to be working towards. Basically, this time, I'm basically sat here. I've still working through my documentary at the moment. So the reason why I've done this podcast this way is because of the constraints on me. Basically, I put out the question on all the TZM channels, as it were, on Facebook. That I would like to do a podcast where I offer 10 people 5 minutes each to sort of describe in their own words, where, how far TZM has come in their view, and are we being effective, and if so or not, why? And what follows is a collection of interviews, as it were, given by numerous different people. I'd just like to give a huge thanks out to Rhoda, Guy, and Javier. Is it Javier or Javier? I can't remember how to pronounce your name. But you say it in your segment. But I'd like to give a huge thanks to those people for getting me these. However, just before I play you these clips, what you will hear is what I can tell, an objective view of what the Zeitgeist movement is actually doing, and mostly what it's not doing. And I would actually advise you, just before we go into this, that you listen to what's being said and take it just as information, because some of this isn't exactly glowing of the Zeitgeist movement itself. So we need to actually think to ourselves, right, we need to absorb constructive criticism and not take it as this emotional attack. Because, I can understand how, some people take things that way, because, to be given praise encourages positive feelings, because it highlights positive things about you, and the opposite has the opposite effect. However, that's only when we take into consideration the emotional effect of it. We don't, in those situations, necessarily take on board the kinds of transitory effects that it can have. If someone's telling you that you're being a dick, then you need to take that as, okay, I'm being a dick, so I need to stop being a dick. How? And then you can converse with them about the effect that the behaviour is having, blah 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 blah. So when you listen to the following things, take this as just as information, and consider it as something to say, right, what am I doing? Am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? let's hear what other people would have to say about it. So I'll waste no more time and get into these. I'd like to thank everyone for contributing, but here they are.
Hello, what's the crack? My name is Phil, aka Rotor. I'm one of the regional coordinators of the Zeitgeist Movement Northern Ireland chapter, based primarily in Belfast. And Adam put forward the question, how far do you think the Zeitgeist Movement has come, and do you think we're being effective? If so or not, why? Well, I'm just back from London. I flew over especially to see the Peter Joseph Q&A session, and I was actually going to bring this up to him, but by the time I managed to form it into a coherent question, it was over, so I didn't really get to talk about it. But I was actually thinking about this and how far we have actually progressed over the past 5 years. I mean, I would say we went from being a relatively underground, fringe kind of subculture that didn't really get past kind of the usual kind of conspiracy websites to getting a lot more press now. I mean, obviously, Peter Joseph has done a lot more media work with things like he did the 1 hour Young Turks special. He does a lot of stuff with Russia Today on Abby Martin's Breaking the Set. Things in, say, the Huffington Post and things of that nature. And also a lot of our concepts, I would say, the big one being technological unemployment. Obviously we have people such as Federico Pastono, who's writing books on that concept, and Sam Vallée, who recently put out a really brilliant documentary called We Will Work for Free, which both put pretty convincing cases that technological unemployment is very much a real concept and will probably most likely phase out the monetary system. But in my experience, if you had even talked about that 5 years ago, people basically just laughed at you. I mean, I know from my experience, people were kind of laughing and they would do C-3PO impressions, you know, like walking around and, you know, you're absolutely crazy, you're nut job, what are you talking about? But they're not really laughing now because it seems to have become a lot more of it's not really as socially unacceptable thing to mention. I mean, people are seeing technological unemployment before their very eyes. I mean, they maybe need it to be pointed out to them, but they are starting to see a lot more jobs being replaced. I saw an article even the other day in the newspaper saying how smartphones were being blamed for phasing out various administrative jobs. So it's very much a real concept, and as far as I'm concerned, at least from what I've seen, Zeitgeist Movement was probably one of the few activist organizations really promoting that concept. I mean, I didn't see anybody from the socialist movement or the anarchist movement or the Green Party. None of them were really talking about that, so I would say we were kind of ahead of the crowd, essentially. So as far as being effective, I would say we are being effective, but I think we definitely need to reach out to a lot more mainstream organization. We need to sort of build on this momentum that we've had recently. Obviously, very recently, there was a video with Noam Chomsky, and he didn't really necessarily endorse